here with Marco van Niekerk. I'm trying to pronounce that as best I can with my English accent, who's great friend, industry leader, if I may call you that, and hooligan. And for anyone who knows Marco will totally agree with that. Marco, it's a real privilege to be here with you, my friend.
Thank you. Same here.
No, thank you. It's been a really special few days. We've been talking to some of the other guys on the podcast here. And we're going to sit down today and talk about a very special rifle. We make a lot of very special rifles at Rigby's, of course, but this is special because it's your rifle. And I'd be very interested for your take on it.
Yeah, I've owned a few doubles in my life. I've owned large caliber rifles. I've used them extensively. And when the opportunity came up with a limited edition 450 Rigby in a double square breech for the first time ever, or for the first time in a number of years.
So it's certainly the first time with the new Rigbys, and I think Paul made mostly single square bridges, so it may very well be the first Rigby double square bridge.
Well, when that opportunity presented itself, I was very keen. I've never been too keen on a double rifle, and that's a personal preference. It's not nothing else. I mean, I love them. They're beautiful, and as investments, they're great. But shooting, I like a bolt action. And this caliber really spoke to me. I was a little bit wary of it. The 450 Rigby has a nasty reputation to pack a punch. It just carries a lot of energy, and it's a heavy cartridge. But I can tell you now, from the moment I shot it the first time, a love relationship started, and it's just been fantastic. I just love it, and I've used it on a lot of stuff now.
Now, you shot it bloody well the last few days, I must say.
Thank you.
I mean, the history of the cartridge, I think we may have spoken about it before on the podcast, but Paul Roberts had been on safari in the early 90s, and they were hunting elephants, and I think a bull had turned, and they tried to make that sort of classic hip shot, and it hadn't worked. It was with a 416, and 416 is more than capable of this, but if you hit it right, and they hadn't. And they sat around the campfire having a few gins, as we have been today at lunch here. And they said, what if we took that same case, we put a 4.58 caliber bullet on front of it? So it's just a 416 on steroids is how I describe it. And that's how the 450 Rigby was born. So it's
Yeah, and I used the soft nose yesterday. I know the PH wasn't too keen on the soft nose. It's a 500 grain bullet. And I mean, I used it on one of the animals that was running away and placed the hip shot. And I mean, these African animals are just tough skinned and really, really hard to bring down, especially the big, dangerous game. And it just opened a wound channel right to the front. I mean, it was unbelievable. It just took him down immediately. So I was very impressed. I'm just getting more and more trust in this rifle.
Now, you shot it so well, and it's interesting that absolutely. The Salo model that we produced for Safari Outdoor, it was really, the brainchild of you guys. We produced the 450 Rigby in the big game single square bridge for a few years now, and then we wanted to do a double square bridge, and of course we reached out to you guys. You've been fantastic partners, and the Salo edition came about. Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
I think Salo is so synonymous with Africa. I mean, from game parks to battle units, they've become synonymous. And there's a lot of romanticism around the name and the character of Frederick Courtney Salo. So for us, that was a natural fit. And then just being part of the design was just such a privilege. I mean, working with you guys in placing every single mark on this was fantastic. And it was a privilege, like I've said.
And the engraving, it's a beautiful bull elephant on there with the name of the rifle. And we'll hopefully in the video we'll be able to splice some images in from the showroom there. How did that image come about?
Well, we looked at a few of the old books. We started going through some old texts, and we found a hand drawing of one of the elephants. And we sent that off to your head of sales, Jerome, and said, "What do you think? Could this be one of the images?" And he just loved it, and he said, "Let our engravers work with it and see what they can do." And that's the story.
No, it's amazing when you see a drawing like that transferred onto metal, and so often it doesn't work, but this has really come out very nicely. And I think we did, was it 12 rifles for the store?
Yes. This is number 1 of 12. I feel very privileged to have that. And 12, and they sold like hotcakes off the press immediately. So
the only thing I would say, Mark, I wish you had chosen a better piece of wood. This is the ugly piece of wood you got there. No figure at all.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like I said, a big love relationship with this rifle.
Yeah, I see that. As I say, you've shot it really well, and we talk about it all the time. I talked about it with Sanka earlier that we see these rifles all the time in the showroom, and they look beautiful there in London where they're born, and the action's coming in from Germany, and the same way that Rigby's has always done it. But when you bring them out here, I don't know if it's the bush, if it's the light. I don't know what it is about being in Africa with those rifles. They come alive, like this soul is awakened in these things.
Purpose. It's their purpose, and for that reason, I don't leave it in a safe. It is a true investment rifle. I want to use it as much as I can. I think the character that it gains every time that you take it out is going to make it worth something to me.
Yeah, and it's something we speak about with customers quite often, that when you get a brand new rifle like this, I always say, put yourself out of your misery. Take the rifle on the first day of the safari and put a little scratch on it, because the first scratch is always the most painful. And after that, you'll actually start enjoying those scratches, because it's that we did that when we were hunting that kudu, or that's when we knocked it against the bucky or whatever it may be, and you take ownership of that first scratch. And you said it before as well about investment rifles and passing these things down through generations, that our children will carry them and they'll be sat around a campfire looking at that little scratch and, Dad told me how he got that. And that's special.
I hunted dangerous game with Bruce Pettit from Leopold earlier this year, and taking it out of the gun bag on the back of the truck, I nicked it on the side of a piece of metal. I went, bloody hell. And it's exactly that. It was the most painful. Now it's over.
Yeah. It's the same as you get a new iPhone. I find that it's that first scratch, and once it's scratched, then we can get on and use it. And that's so core to what we do. These are made to be used. Of course, they should be beautiful. We want to enjoy them. So much of African hunting, or any hunting actually, is actually looking at the rifle, sitting around as we are now, enjoying them. The actual shooting of them, it's quick and fast, and then it's over. I always say to customers, don't cheat yourself with an ugly piece of wood. If you can afford the better wood, go with the better wood.
That's very true.
No.
That's very true. We upgraded this at the last minute, and I'm very happy with that decision.
No, it's turned out really, really well. So maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the relationship with Rigby and Safari Outdoor, because as I say, you guys are phenomenal partners, and this rifle is a perfect example of that, how we really bring you into the design process. We want you to feel part of it. You are part of the Rigby family.
Yeah. I think that the relationship really started a few years ago. We've been fantastic partners with L&O in the past, and they manufacture and sell some of the most iconic brands in the world. And Rigby stands on its own, being manufactured and designed in London. It's a lifestyle brand more than any other, and I think our retail business stands for exactly that. We build dreams. We regularly say that our stores are built around hunting, but it offers a lifestyle. And you can see it with the amount of time that people spend in the stores. And if they don't have anything to do, they go there, even if it's to have a little coffee. So the natural fit with a higher LSM investment brand like Rigby was just natural. And it's just done phenomenally well. What you guys have done with production and the availability of firearms, linked to Jerome's work ethic, the amount of time that he spends in Africa explaining the rifles, giving advice, making sure that you pair it with the right caliber, the right length, everything else. It's been a phenomenal journey, and I think it's only the start.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, you guys I keep saying it, but have rewritten the book on how to retail firearms and hunting equipment and apparel. Your store is spectacular. All this are spectacular, absolutely spectacular. Question I was also want to ask you is, if you were going to talk to someone at home who's perhaps they live here in South Africa, perhaps they live overseas, and they're looking at purchasing a new rifle, a big game rifle. This is from you, not from us, but why should they buy Rigby?
I think from design and durability through to the brand. If you're going to spend a large amount of money on something, you want it to, the day it gets inherited, be worth something. So that if it doesn't stay in the family, at least that investment will be recouped. Ideally, it's an emotional purchase, and your son or your son-in-law has the same emotion around it, and it becomes a family heirloom. That's the ideal. Rigby is just synonymous with quality now. I mean, the stuff that you guys have done in the last 10 years have put it right back on the map. And these days, that is not as common as you would think. So, again, if you're going to do the investment, you want to make sure that it's functional first and foremost. A lot of your rifles are large calibers. The intention is to hunt dangerous game. And you just, forgive me for my word, but you don't fuck around.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you give yourself the best possible chance.
Yeah, no, totally. And if you hunt plains game or antelope or deer or whatever it is around the world, it's a very noble pursuit and very exciting. There's just another gear, another level when you started to hunt dangerous game. I don't know, seriousness. I don't know what it is. There's something about it that brings us back time and time again. But what I always say to people is that same amount of attention to detail in a dangerous game rifle goes into all of our products, whether it's a shotgun for bird shooting or whether it's a 275 for hill stalking in Scotland. That reliability, it's got to work, it's got to feed, it's got to eject, all of those things.
And if you think of, if you think about the brand, it's really sophisticated, it's rugged, but it's really sexy. It's a sexy brand.
Yeah.
And I think there's very few brands that offer that.
No, I totally agree. There's a refinement to Rigby, but it's, dust, it's wood, it's, there's a realness, a real quality, and these things want to be used. It's like a vintage sports car. You don't just look at it in the garage. You want to take it around the track, or a Land Rover. You want to take it off-road and use these things.
Absolutely.
They're fantastic. Well, Marco, thank you so very much for sitting here.
And again, spending time with us in Africa. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. We don't get down here often enough, but yeah, it's been wonderful, so thank you.
Awesome.